One of the most legendary battles that sim racing has ever seen took place last time out at Oulton Park. When it comes to this race, though, this is the month of May. This is the fabled track that this month always brings, and you cannot have a race on iRacing without heading to Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the month of May. It is your Grand Prix Legend Series, and although it's not full oval, we take to the brand new road course here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on 16th Street and Georgetown. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry. Alongside me in the booth for today's action will be Ryan Walker. Steve proudly finds himself in the director's chair. He's using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, one of the staple circuits that the world has ever produced. There is simply nothing like it, and it will never be replicated ever. Let's take a look, though, at our GSRC track guide to get an understanding of what makes this place so sacrosanct.
Welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Though this track is by far more famous for its oval, which has been around for more than 100 years, road racing has become a regular feature thanks to the infield course built at the turn of the century. It has gone through multiple changes since then, but here on iRacing there are two road layouts to choose from. Both clock in at just over 2.5 miles, with the moto version including 16 turns and the road version having 13. The bike circuit is far less used on iRacing with its more technical start to the lap, but still runs in the traditional counterclockwise direction. The road circuit, however, runs clockwise and presents a stark contrast between the twisty infield portion and the incredibly fast half that runs on the oval. Passing is often difficult here, but by far the most popular spot is under braking down into turn 1. From there, drivers are taken through a series of corners with little chance to rest between them. However, the exit of turn 11 often proves to be the most critical of the corners, with it leading you back onto the oval. Taking what is usually turn 1 in reverse, drivers build up incredible speeds. This tends to cause slipstream battles to erupt and can often make for close, exciting finishes. Formula One, IMSA, and MotoGP have all taken to the track, but currently IndyCar has become the biggest event the road circuit sees all year. Preceding the traditional practice and qualifying weeks leading to the Indianapolis 500, the Grand Prix of Indy has become one of the more desirable victories to claim. While there is still a proportionally small amount of history built on this version of Indianapolis, it's quickly becoming both a popular and well-used portion of this famous racetrack.
The track of tracks here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The layout that we have here today is going to be interesting, although it does show here that we'll be going through the rights and lefts of the early sector. Today, Ryan, they will take that short shoot run in 2021, skip all of the winding section of the opening sector, and it'll be a flat-out run along Holman Avenue.
Yeah, absolutely. What can you say about this fantastic Indianapolis Motor Speedway track? It's just filled with tradition, history, and basically anything that's raced here, you name it, from NASCAR to IMSA, to the SCCA runoffs. Yeah, you name it, it's pretty much raced here. And this fantastic 2.605 mile track will be host to the Lotus 49s here today. And passing opportunities are going to be very rare or very difficult, because it's just there's not many places to pass apart from turn 1, turn 7 or turn 12. So I think the name of the game today is going to be patience, timing your moves, timing your opportunities. And I think with a big field of Lotus 49 cars around this Indianapolis road course, I think don't be surprised to see some mayhem and maybe some mistakes from some of these drivers. But Indianapolis, the greatest home to the greatest spectacle in racing, that is the Indianapolis 500, and this race should be a good one.
It should be, especially seeing as iRacing will have its own Indianapolis 500 coming back. The Great American Sim Race will return to iRacing in June 1st. But let's talk championship standings when we have the opportunity to do so. Split F1 and F2. This is by iRating. Aldrius Valentius, 57 points to the good, but cannot afford a bad performance here for the final 3 rounds. He's already used his 2 drop rounds for the season, and as such, he is walking a tightrope. Despite that, he has won his last 5 starts in this series. Jorge Nieva is his nearest challenger, with Sebastian Tixier in third position overall, but he is not here today. Neither is Togo Hisada, who gave everything last time out. He sits at 60 points adrift, with Xavier Sanchez fifth and Kevin Verbruggen in sixth position. Bob Woodhouse finds himself in seventh, ahead of David Rossi, with Marco Antonio Lopez in ninth position, tied on points with David Rossi. Gary Ho just 12 points back in 10th position. To the F2 Championship then, with Ryan Walker.
Yep, so the F2 Championship at the moment, it's still all to play for as we come to the closing stages of the season, with Michael Gringzinger in the lead currently, with Kurt Clapper only 20 points behind him, and then Mats London rounded at the top three, and then you've got Jem Matsan in fourth, with Roberto Pangrazzi in fifth, and then Jonathan Jourdain in sixth. Seventh place is Jan Stefan, and then Tobias Hernvey in eighth. David Tomaski, I should say, in ninth, and then rounded at the top 10 is Matthew Nelson. So yeah, at the top of the F2 Championship, it's all close still to play for, and it should be an exciting finish to the season.
It absolutely should. Of course, the Nations Cup is worth keeping an eye out on, as well as all of the battling has been going through there. But let's take a look at what makes this championship. This is round 10 of 12. This is the last bastion before the drop rounds start counting to the championship. 24 laps of racing today, no pit stops required. With the distance that is there, it is open setup, so everyone's going to be fettling to find the best way forward with their car, which they only have one of. They don't have the patented spare car available to them, so no fast repairs means if you break it, you bought it, as my good friend Bill Soupzan once said to me. The drive-through, though, and disqualification limits are exactly what you'd find in an iRacing official race, because this is an iRacing official server, which means the drive-through penalty is at 17, disqualification will be at 25 instant points should you pick up more than one instant point a lap, along with the drive-through penalty. Qualifying is about to finish in the next 3 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. We couldn't have timed it any better, which means we will have the opportunity to head over towards the starting grid and see how everyone lines themselves up here from Speedway Indiana. And no surprises who's on top, because he's looking for 9,200 iRating today with his performance. Aldrius Valentias is on the pole, a 125.183. Jorge Nieva will be alongside for company, with row 2 housing Laust Olsen and Glenn Becker. Xavier Sanchez, Heike360 ES on Twitch. He starts fifth with Kevin Verbruggen, the F2 reigning champion, in sixth position. Bob Woodhouse has Jeff Saunders on row 4 with him. Gary Ho is there in ninth with Benjamin Shoko.
Yep, and starting in 11th, you've got Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado, with Alan Graham in 12th, Michael Gringzinger 13th, Cam Porter 14th, 15th is Tobias Hernvey, and then Jan Metzan 16th, Andreas Bruno 17th, Mats London 18th, 19th is Robert Plumley, and rounding out the 20 is Juan Jose Suarez.
There are 6 more drivers beyond that. David Tomaszki, Matthew Nelson, Jason Merrifield is the last driver to set his time in 23rd. And then the 3 who didn't were Oriel Surratt, Thomas Willershausen, and Justin Callahan, as the drivers have 2 minutes to get themselves situated up onto the grid, or they can choose to start from pit lane. That is the driver's eyes view from Aldrius Valentias, and he's run clockwise here along the speedway front stretch over the yard of bricks and over towards the tight 90-degree turn 1. This is one of the longest stretches to turn 1 they're going to have, so a bad start here today is going to be massively exacerbated compared to what other drivers can. Jorge Nieva needs a performance today to pile some pressure on a seemingly invincible Aldrius Valentias. Green flag in the air, and we are racing from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's a great start by Jorge Nieva as all the drivers make that progress fantastically. It's going to be a battle of brakes down in towards turn 1, with Laust Olsen waiting pretty in the wings. Round the outside tries Aldrius. He runs a little bit deep, and Jorge Nieva has got the jump he so richly deserved. One car is slow going through the opening section. That is going to be Jeff Saunders, who drops a bundle of positions.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a bad start for Jeff, but as they come through the chicane now, this is pretty much a one-line section where you can't really make any moves, and you can try and make a move if you get a great run, but yeah, Laust Olsen had a great start, and so did Jorge Neva. He took advantage of Andreas slipping up in turn 1, and he's up into the lead.
Now they run through the chicane, left, right, left. How close to Laust Olsen do you want to be if your name's Glenn Becker in 4th position? The layout that they're running today does mean that this overtaking opportunity is a much heavier braking zone. You don't get a massive slingshot in towards turn 1 like you would do at other tracks on the brakes. This is a place where you can get a pass, but you've got this fantastic switchback section. This used to be the bike layout of the circuit, but this is the chicane that drivers looked at, and there's a huge following, of course, of what happened in 2005 with the Michelin tyres in the Formula 1 race, which is kind of the reason why that layout goes, and we've got a serpentine at Indy.
Absolutely, and it looks like we've got a bit of draft battles going on down the home straight, and yeah, Laust Olsen was weaving a little bit there to try and break it and maybe just cover his territory as Laust runs slightly wide in turn 1, but further back we've got some more battles going on, and a bit of smoke in the background there in the home straight. I don't know if someone's blowing an engine, but as we look back up to the front, it's still Jorge Neva leading as they come through the chicane, and yeah, I think if you're Andreas, I think you've got to just sit back and just be patient and just let the race pan out, because we're only on lap 2 at the moment. Just let the race come to you, and then basically as you get to the end of the race, if Jorge's still in front and he can keep with him, I think that's when you start to try and pounce.
Well, one thing we do know is that these two will go through. We'll get the overlay up in just a moment's time, just to see where everybody is out there on circuit at this moment. There have been some great gainers I've seen out there at the moment that have gone through the positions. Tobias Hanvey took 2. Cam Porter took 4 places off of the start. So too did Matthew Nelson, having a great start to today's racing. But now they will charge. And at the front, Aldrius Valentine spent 18 laps last week bottled up behind Togo Hasada. He doesn't want to do exactly the same again here on the run to the opening corner. Valentine sets the purple check mark with the fastest lap of the race, but Nieva covers it off on the inside, and now it's switchback to switchback to switchback. He's desperate to unlock here, is Valentine's, but every line covered here on the start of lap 3.
Yep, yeah, Jorge, you're doing a great job defending at the moment, and I think he probably realises that Valentine is probably quicker than him, but he doesn't want to let him get away, just in case possibly he falls into the clutches of Laust Olsen and Glenn Becker and Xavier Sanchez and basically fall into that train. But further back, look at Bob Woodhouse, currently down in 13th, and it's been a decent start for Bob at the moment, and I think at the moment it's relatively calm, but you never know with battles with the Lotus 49, anything can happen, and yeah, it certainly will happen, especially around this track, I feel.
Well, Bob has already gained 2 places on this lap. One was Tobias Hanvey going off at turn 1. The other was Jem Matzan spinning at turn 4. So that's going to be hit with the way that he jumps up. But Aldrius Valentine right now, these top 2 are breaking away from that second group. And that second group, Laust Olsen, looks very uncomfortable at the front. You can see it behind. Glenn Becker's over him like a rash. And you've got Xavier Sanchez and Kevin Verbruggen and Gary Ho there. Benjamin Shoko, the Australian, desperate to try and cling on to it. Glenn with a half look's going to back out of the move then, feeling he doesn't have the confidence to get down the inside at turn 1, despite the overspeed he would have had at that section. And sometimes these packs, these trains, do form, and you have to be patient in a race like this if you want to get the end goal result of 3rd place here in this group.
Absolutely, and yeah, Glenn's a sensible racer. He's not one of these drivers that will try anything silly. But it looks like they might have a change for the lead, Jake, as I say that, back up at the front, and Valenteas goes around outside. Can he pull the move off? If he can keep the inside, this will be a fantastic move.
Oh, it's close. It's really, really close. And now he's got the inside. This is the money corner if you're going to get it. But Nieva still can't quite find what he wants. So he's now going to try and go round the outside and hope that he's got something on the brakes, but he will have to yield here. Aldrius Valentine has thrown everything at it, but he goes deep, and Jorge Nieva trying to pick up the inside. Perfect block on the inside from Valentias. Nieva was trying to get cheeky and go up and under, but Valentias had him scouted there and takes the race lead at the end of lap 4.
That was a fantastic move by Valentias, and but I don't think it's over yet. It was a fantastic move. He overshot the entry slightly into the final couple of corners, but it looks like Nieva was trying to make a move back up the inside, but I think if Valentias can pull away and just keep it clean and build up a bit of a gap, I think I think he'll pull away. But further back, the Laus and a few other cars involved in this battle, looking at Kevin Verbruggen at the moment. And Kevin's improved quite a lot with the Lotus 49 as well. I've noticed any time I've watched the broadcast, he's been getting further and further up the field, and it's good to see him up there towards the front again.
Yeah, that's going to be worth keeping an eye out on. There's once more the wider lines getting taken right now, and Kevin Verbruggen, you can see in the background, trying to find the pass through on one Mr. Xavier Sanchez, who I believe has just run a little bit wide there and will lose out the place. So that's the move forward. Top 5 now for Kevin Verbruggen, and Gary Ho wants to get into the mix here and find himself a pass on the brakes then through the final chicane sections. Not the easiest thing to do, and it's such a difficult chicane because it's prolonged for one there, Ryan, and secondly you've got that banking, which means that you've got to slow down a little bit more than what you want to through the corner because gravity's going to work against you trying to put the power down.
Absolutely, and that corner as well, with that banking or slight camber as well, you always get a sense or feeling in your mind that you always think you can carry a lot more corner entry speed or brake later. But from my experience of racing around here, that doesn't always work, and you can overshoot the entry, as we've seen saw from some drivers so far. But Laus Olsen still under pressure from Glenn Becker, and I think Glenn's just playing a patient game at the moment, and just trying to wait for Laus to make a mistake. But a great battle between these two, nevertheless, as the two leaders up at the front there just moving out of shot, and Jorge, to his credit, is doing well to keep up with him.
Yeah, Jorge Nieva is doing fantastically here. We are on lap 6 here at 24. We'll get the lap count up on your top left as soon as we can. But for the moment, Algiers Valentias is doing what he needs to do at this moment in time in this race, heading to the 1/4 stage of this race. He has got the lead, which he has done so on so many occasions, and he is suddenly becoming, in terms of this world of sim racing right now, Ryan, the next Journo Freacher, and arguably one of the toughest cookies to crack when it comes to classics racing.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I mean, when it comes to the classic racing scene, you just anytime you see him, he's always jumping into something. Be it in a Nissan GTP, the Audi GTO, these Lotus 49s, even the Lotus 79. So, and any time he jumps into any of those cars, he gets a bit sideways there. Anytime he jumps into those cars, he's always on it.
And that's what I had my eyes on there. Glenn Becker had to really slow it up. Kevin Verbruggen got completely brake checked, and Xavier Sanchez just sneaking on back through on the inside. This has allowed Benjamin Shoko to join the group as they now run onto Holman Boulevard and now look for that 90-degree left-hander straight to the inside. Xavier Sanchez looks, but you've got to be aggressive on the brakes. There's too much from Verbruggen, and that's going to be 1 through in the form of Gary Ho. Is that going to be 2 through in the form of Ben Shoko? You bet it is. Here comes the attack back, but that is not what the doctor ordered. Back up and under, immediately attacking back with the inside.
Yep, a good opportunistic move and driving by Kevin. He saw the opportunity and retook the position from Benjamin. And Benjamin saw the opportunity as well to try and take that position from Kevin. But back up at the front again, it's still close between the two leaders. And Nieva is not letting Valentias go by any means. And I think if I'm Jorge, just stay behind and try and stay in that slipstream, and just, if you can stick with him, try and maybe just put some pressure on Valentias and see if he makes a mistake.
Well, he absolutely clattered the opening curve there, and because of that, any run that he had slowly faded away. But you've still got a lot of these packs now forming. Jeff Saunders, for example, looking for a way into the top 10 over Cam Porter, took 3/10 out of him on that last lap through. And so Jeff is hoping that he's got what he wants. Gary Ho continuing on his charge. What a great drive Gary's having at this moment, with Sanchez in front, with Glenn Becker in front of that. He's proving that he's got pace, and he is racing in this pseudo 1.5 group in terms of the way they're going about in tier 1.5, I should say. Those top two, Valentias and Yeva, tier 1.
Yeah, pretty much. They're just all by themselves in a class of their own at the moment. And as we look back up to the front, looking at both of them again, and coming into the final couple of corners, just clattering the inside curve ever so slightly. And this section here, it's a very... You can take different
Becker's
lines.
off.
I was about to say, Glenn Becker's off.
He's managed to gather it back together again, has the number 11 machine, but it has now allowed the inside open for Xavier Sanchez, and he's going to have to sacrifice the straight here as he makes that run, but now he'll tuck into the toe, and he'll work out which way does he want to go. Sanchez defending over to the inside here along this long run on the front stretch. Ho and Verbruggen also there, too wide, too deep, into turn one. Xavier Sanchez holds off the move.
Yep, that was a good move by Sanchez, and I wonder if he could try and pull away and close the gap down to Laus Olsen in front of him, because I was about to say that as well. Olsen, everyone behind him scrapping away, he's just managed to pull away and build a slight gap and have a bit of a comfortable margin. But again, Nieva is putting Valentias under pressure, but not making any. He's not trying to get by or doesn't look too eager. He looks more than happy just to sit behind, since they've got a decent margin behind.
The gap now is up to 5.4 seconds at the moment, and staring at the back of the most famous engine in motorsport history, the Ford DFV Cosworth, which of course had so much of a long shelf life that it's also in the back of the Lotus 79, believe it or not, in a way, shape or form. So you really get the sense that this is one of the most influential engines, and it does produce a lot of power. And this is the car that was the personification of the Colin Chapman method of how to build a quick race car, and Jorge Nieva is going to need it. He needs to add speed and lightness if he wants to make the move for the race lead. But into turn one, Adrius Valentias has covered the inside line, but watch for the switchback to the switchback here, because he's now trying to really open up a pocket inside his covered. Has to take the long line around as Jorge Nieva, and not enough speed, not enough lightness, but here comes the charge through the short chute.
Yep, and Valentias is definitely feeling the pressure now as Jorge Nieva gets a great run through the chicane. Can he try and close up in the slipstream and try and make a move? But into turn 7, I don't think he's going to try anything risky into here. So yeah, he's not close enough to make a move. So I think his best opportunity, Jake, if he can get a good run on the exit of the final corner, that long right-hander, if he can try and get a good exit and carry that speed down the home straight, I think he could try and make a move into turn 1, but Valentias doing a good defensive job.
Adrius Valentias does not often have to go defensive. The pace of Jorge Nieva here is a wake-up alarm in this race for a driver that would love to take the victory here today. Move on to 9,200 iRacing. That was a little bit deep in from Jorge Nieva. He was a very narrow driver there through that corner, and as such had to really back off of it, and suddenly Valentias picks up about half a second over the course of one corner essentially.
Yeah, and that's the thing with that corner as well. The corner that left-hander, you can overrun it slightly, and it just compromises your exit. As we look back at the battle going on for pretty much 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, count various cars involved in this battle, and looking at Kevin Verbruggen again, down in 7th, but still having a decent race. And I think Kevin's just settled down and decided just to play the waiting game and not do anything like overdrive or start getting ragged, because with these cars, if you start overdriving or sliding around, you can overheat the tyres slightly.
You absolutely can. Worth keeping an eye on the F2 Championship right now. No Kurt Clapper today, so he'll take his second drop round. Max Linden is 7 laps down because he's had an issue as Bob Woodhouse. And Jeff Saunders had a huge issue, and there's more contact out there as it looks like Tobias Hermby is upside down in the gravel at 4.
Yeah, and this battle up at the front is still going on between Valenteus and the Eva, and again, yeah, the Eva's got a great exit this time around. He's much closer. He's about 3/10 behind, but obviously with the slipstream, that gap can come down the home straight. And the Eva's getting a great run. He's getting closer and closer, but is he going to try and pull out and make a move? He's not close enough, so decides to tuck in behind.
Yep, and just can't find the angle to make that happen. So the issue with Bob Woodhouse is that he collected Jeff Saunders on the run here through 3 into 4. That sent Jeff Saunders into the barriers. Bob Woodhouse ended up over the middle of the circuit, and Tobias Harvey came on the scene, didn't quite spot it, and then up and over he went from the tyres, and it was a big accident that's taken those 3 out of contention. I did want to talk F2 for a moment because Michael Grissinger, the F2 Championship leader, is fighting with 4th in the championship right now, Jem Matzan, for position, and this is essentially to be up there to get through. We'll take a GSRC replay. This is what happened with Bob Woodhouse, and this just illustrates how devastating an accident can be in relatively medium speed conditions right now, Ryan.
Absolutely. As we'll take a look at the replay to see what happened with Bob. Oh, and he just ran into the back of the car in front of him. And I think Bob just got caught out under brake and just carried a little bit more entry speed than the car in front, and it just caught him out. And that's the fun with these cars, Jake. Sometimes a driver in front of you doesn't have the confidence to carry more corner entry speed, and maybe the driver does, but sometimes that can just end up catching the driver behind out, and unfortunately I think that's what happened to Bob.
Well, on top of that as well, this car has probably the longest braking distance of all iRacing cars out there. It is one of the toughest cars to get slowed down in a straight line, and this is a car that you consider from the mid-60s was going upwards of over 250 kilometers an hour. Find a way to slow that down with brakes, which is the modern equivalent of using a wheel of cheese. Very difficult to try and get these cars really slowed and G'd up. And look, they're before the curb, before they're even touching the brakes. You can tell that the cars are slowing down because there's that small dip of the nose, which indicates that they are desperately trying to get it slowed up.
Absolutely, and the thing with these cars as well, you can't really brake that hard. Otherwise, if you brake too hard with these cars, you can just end up locking the rears and you end up spinning round, and even locking up the transmission if you downshift too quickly. But still, this battle for the lead will just not settle down. I was expecting the Valenteus to pull away and build up a bit of a gap, but Jorge and the Eva is to give him credit. He's keeping up and putting him under pressure. And the Eva over I'll probably say from my experience the past few seasons, he's definitely improved a lot because he was a midfield runner. No disrespect to Jorge, but he's definitely come on leaps and bounds.
I'd say that he's now in that elite echelon with Togo Hosada, with Aldrius Valenteus. I'd say he's up there with Sebastian Tixier. And when he decides to turn up Mick Claridge, you'd put him in that category now with the way that he's driving out there. Someone with a bunch of experience in terms of multi-platform. He is someone to keep an eye out on. This group, though, this second group, is starting to come back together again. Laus Olsen over the laps has lost a little bit of time to Javier Sanchez, and Glenn Becker's been pulled along. Gary Ho, Kevin Verbruggen has been pulled along in this group as well. And that will mean that these 5 are fighting for 1 spot on the podium. You don't need to be a mathematician here, Ryan, to realise that you've got 1 bride and 4 bridesmaids.
Yeah, absolutely. That was it. I was going to use that analogy as well, but you beat me to it. But yeah, that's pretty much the situation. And Glenn Becker as well, I think he, like I say, he's just playing a patient game, playing a waiting game, and just waiting to see how this pans out. Because we've still got a long way to go in this race. We're pretty much coming up to just under 10 laps remaining. And I think towards the end, you might see Glenn getting a little bit more feisty or getting the old elbows out. But 5th place is still a good place to be in. It's nothing to complain about. But further back, looking at the battle with Michael Grinziger and also it looks like Robert. Yeah, Jim Matzan. Sorry, I was going to say Robert Plumley, but yeah, Matzan as well. So yeah, a good battle between these two. And apart from the battle here and the battles up at the front, it's relatively quiet. But further, Laus Olsen runs wide in turn 1, and that compromises his exit slightly.
It will. It does hurt at turn 2, but you can try and gather up the momentum through 3 and give the opportunity through 4. That's going to be what's really crucial. They are going to start hitting lap traffic soon because the leaders have just made their first bit of lap traffic, passing on Oriol Serra out there on track. So there has been some moves, but Olsen chased down by Javier Sanchez on the brakes, then up in towards turn 7. You then got this lovely flick of 8 and 9, leads to turn 10. There used to be a time where that was back-to-back hairpins as they went through. Not so much anymore. It's a little bit quicker, and this circuit is built to be a little bit quicker on its road course design, giving maximum opportunity to try and follow when this track can be difficult at the best of times. There's the search for the inside. Overcooks it goes Gary Ho. Kevin Verbruggen now to the outside, trying to get a massive double up and under.
Yep, and Kevin trying to do the old go wide out and then cut back in to try and get a good exit. And it looks like it's going to work, and he's got a great run down the home straight. And if Kevin can get close enough and get alongside before turn 1, he might be able to pull his move off. And I think he might pull it off. Jake, he's got his onside into turn 1, and it looks like Verbruggen takes the position and into turn 1, and a fantastic run, fantastic move.
Yeah, that is beautifully concocted by Kevin Verbruggen. Opportunistic he was, and he had to wait over half a minute to make that pass, but it was one worth its weight in gold for him, as he'll chase down Glenn Becker as they've dropped off of the front 2. Look how close Nieva and Valentias find themselves at the moment. 10 seconds of a margin, and Nieva just needling and pressuring, not necessarily going for a move, has afforded this gap. This will mean in the final third of the race, which will start next lap, they've afforded themselves the opportunity to battle.
And I think that's why Jorge's not. He takes a sneaky look in the inside. I think that's why Jorge's he's been patient, Jake. I think he realises they've got a 10-second gap behind them. He can afford to be patient and just bide his time. There's no point doing anything too rash or too silly, and they possibly risk ruining his race, and also Valentias' race as well. As again, this battle for 12th and 13th is still going on between Matza and Grinziger.
And with F2 implications with this as well, Michael Grissinger wants to be one of the top dogs here. He leads that championship outright. He goes flying up through the banking, hoping that he's going to find that pass, and on the brakes, he's not going to be able to find that manifested at this point. But his margin over Jem Matzan stands at 38 points right now. Jem Matzan will need a good performance to try and find a way through. Got to go back to the race lead though, because around the traffic, Jorge Nieva nearly finds his pick using Justin Callahan.
And I was about to say as well, Jorge was being patient, and I think he saw the back marker and the Valentias being held up slightly, and he tried to pounce and try and make a move, but you can definitely tell that Valentias is just feeling just a little bit rattled here. And I think Jorge Nieva's probably laughing to himself, thinking I can put Valentias under pressure and make him crack slightly. When we all thought that Valentias was pretty much not invincible, but ice cold, if you like.
Well, he's been invincible once this season. The only time he was at Monza. The only driver to beat him on that day, or the two drivers to beat him on that day, was Jorge Nieva, who picked up the race victory overall, and then Mikolaj Yushak, who's only made one start this season, took second there at that Monza race. Valentias would end up with third. But Nieva now really needs to kick on here, because the way he's been going, he's dropped a little bit of time. Middle group, though, continues on as we focus here with Kevin Verbruggen, Gary Ho, and Glenn Becker, who leads that group. They're trying so hard to stay with Javier Sanchez, though. You say 1.5 seconds, the rubber band snaps of slipstream. It was 1.4 at the line.
Yep, so it's definitely the gaps are ever and flowing, and the pack's just starting to break up slightly, but still looking at Gary Ho and having a great race down in 7th, and just in front of him you've got Verbruggen as well, and in front of Verbruggen we've got Glenn Becker, so a 3-car battle going on for 5th place. So there's been plenty of good drives throughout the field, and But I think, yeah, some of these battles, I've got a feeling that they're going to come down to being sorted on the last lap. And Xavier Sanchez as well in 4th place, and still putting on the pressure on Laus Olsen. And Laus Olsen, he's made some slight mistakes. He's keeping a cool head and not overdriving or sliding the car around. It's just just hitting his marks. And at the moment he's sitting in 3rd place. And I think if he took 3rd place, that would be a great result.
Needs must at this stage for Laus Olsen in 3rd, realising that he does have a very talented Xavier Sanchez there, a Porsche all-star, believe it or not. He has been once upon a time. He is lightning fast when he chooses to be racing against some of the best creators that have been there to offer, which includes the likes of Jimmy Broadbent and co. Here goes Jorge Nieva. He's tired of waiting. Lap 19 to the inside. Can he get it through? He slides it through the corner. Valentias with his Ryan Hunter-Ray impression holds on to the lead.
Oh, yeah, lucky I had my microphone muted because, that was... I thought I was going to end up in contact, but somehow both of these guys got away with it, and somehow they're still going.
This is sensational stuff from Algiers Valentias and Jorge Nieva. Nieva so aggressive, but so lucky he didn't collect Algiers Valentias with 5.5 even laps to go, and still behind. There is a lot to keep in focus because Glenn Becker still has Ken Verbruggen to deal with. Slides it through the corner. Verbruggen slightly balked, and right now he hopes to advance to first base.
Absolutely, as they come on to the start-finish line now, and still we've got the battle for 3rd place in the picture. We've got a battle for 5th place in the same picture. And it looks like Verbruggen is trying to go for a move, or trying to get by Becker, and Becker just holds his line into turn 1. And as Becker gets a little bit sideways there on the exit of turn 1 into turn 2 and turn 3, and still holds the position. But fantastic stuff throughout the field.
Yeah, he didn't quite know what to do there with Justin Callahan, the lap traffic, who just got well out of the way through the short shoot run. 5 and 6 now once more onto the boulevard, looking for an opportunity here. Verbruggen trying to pick his pocket down the inside. He's got to get it slowed up. Becker goes straight on and into the grass. Has he had himself a connection issue? Yes, I think he has. Something's gone wrong with his wheel. It's let go.
Yeah, I was wondering why Becker ran wide there, because it looked like he slowed down, and he was still alongside Verbruggen. But yeah, that's unfortunate for Becker because he was having such a great race. But Verbruggen took the opportunity. He got the run in the exit of the chicane and picked up his position, but still back up at the front, Jake. This battle for the lead is still going on, as we've got about just under about three laps remaining in the race.
We got 4 laps left.
4 laps,
21, 22, 23 and 24. Algiers Valentias has had to defend the majority of this race. He took the lead on lap 6, and Jorge Nieves had one stab in the dark trying to find his way past the Lithuanian. He's not been the most fortunate driver just yet as Jorge the Spaniard, but he knows that opportunity still awaits him, and if he can find that pass, he will have a smile from ear to ear. It will not happen yet at the moment, but you got to keep your eyes behind as well, because Laus Olsen's not safe on the podium, because Heike 360 ES, Xavier Sanchez, wants his way through too.
Yep, and if I'm Xavier, I think you pretty much just wait behind Laus, and if I was him, they've got a good gap behind him, or behind them, sorry. I think if you're Sanchez, you wait behind Laus until maybe the final couple of laps, and then that's when you pounce and make your move. If you can try and make a move on Laus, but Laus is doing a good defensive job and he's not letting the pressure get to him. But it looks like Sanchez has got a great run and this long right-hander, and he's got a great exit as well. But it's just a case if he can close up in that slipstream.
Well, Jorge Nieva, who we look on board with right now, is someone who's hoping that he can make the right move, and crucially, at the right time, and that's what he's been banking on. He's looking for a decisive pass that he can make where he knows that Valentias cannot strike back. Speaking of which, here comes Heike. looking for the inside. Xavier Sanchez all over the curb. Laust Olsen holds just for now as he balks through 2.
Yeah, and it looks like they've got a bit of lap traffic in front of them. It looks like Sanchez is trying to make a move up the inside, and he's kind of up the inside, but I think Laust will maybe have the inside through this again. Don't go side by side, guys. Oh, as Laust just holds a position, but he compromises his exit.
Look left side though, Laust's going to have to let him have it here. He realises that he had to take a compromised line through 5 and 6, and here up at 7, it's perfect for Xavier Sanchez. He moves up to 3rd and has that final spot on the podium. Everything he could ask for and then some. Now you got to throw a couple popsicle sticks out the window. Wide goes Valentias. Opportunity now for Jorge Nieva. He'll go the long way around. The penultimate corner. He can't find the angle there. Chance, and it was a good one.
Yeah, Jorge tried to go around outside and tried to hold it, but he compromised his exit, and I think he tried to do a bit of a cutback. But again, down the home straight, he's just not close enough in the slipstream, and he needs to be much closer to try and make a move into turn 1. But still, Jorge, again, credit to him, he's held on for most of the race and put Valentias under pressure for most of the race, and I think even if he doesn't take the win, I think he'll be very happy with a 2nd place finish.
I would not want to be Aldrius Valentias at this moment in time. He is in the pressure cooker, and he now extends out to about 0.4 of a second now. Traffic will need to behave. That's Jason Merrifield, who is there just in front, that they will have to try and navigate a way around with a lap and a bit to go. And I tell you what, Aldrius, he had a fantastic victory last time out at Alton. I think he's about to do it again if he can just keep it on the island.
And they've got traffic in front of them as well, so this could play a factor into these final few corners. And Valentias closes up in the back marker into under braking, and Jorge needs to take this opportunity. He needs to pounce and try and get a good exit as Jorge just gets compromised by the back marker here, and just gets his line compromised as Jake, we're just about to start the final lap.
And that might just be the nail in the coffin. Hard to the inside goes Aldrius Valentias. He wants to shake the slipstream off of Jorge Nieva as they hit the brakes in towards turn 1. There'll be one more bit of traffic in this race. It'll be Thomas Willershausen that they'll have to get by. Question is, will they catch him between now and the end of this race here in Speedway, Indiana, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Through turn 4 goes Aldrius Valentias, and now through the short chute, he is rushing away right now, hoping that every chance he can get to build a gap is there. But Nieva keeps himself honest then at 4/10, and he's got to find every braking zone now to be perfect, and he must maximise everything he's got. Through the chicane, he is closing that down once more to 0.2 of a second. This is the money corner that sets up the last great place to make a move, which will be turn 12. And Aldrius Valentias, still with about a car length between him and Jorge Nieva, has got himself just about enough. Nieva throws everything on the brakes. Can he get it slowed up? Yes, but he loses a bit of time. Aldrius Valentias is 2 corners away, now 1 corner away, with a simply fantastic defence, as he's done again. It's his 6th straight win here in the Grand Prix Legend Series. One hand on the title.
Yeah, that was a fantastic race, and a great battle for the win as Sanchez is going to hold on to 3rd from Laust Olsen close behind. And the races throughout the field we're breathless basically.
Simply put, sensational. Some great racing over towards the end of this one. Gary Ho will find himself off the podium outside the top 5 in 6th place. Couple drivers have been looking to make some great progress. One of them, Michael Grissinger, who will take 11th place overall as he goes through. Benjamin Shoko happy and getting his traditional burnouts and donuts going then after his finish. Nice to see him back out there and racing once again. Very difficult for the Australian time zone to go out there and get everything all together. But as the last of the drivers will make their ways over the line, we're going to step aside for one moment here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll be back with post-race coverage after this. A fantastic display of driving from Aldrius Valentius. In his 6th start, he has got himself 6 wins, his last 6. It is his 7th victory of the season in just 8 races that he has attended. Simply put, there is nobody who's been able to get himself close, but that is as close as we've seen it this season. Jorge Nieva, just 3.5 tenths adrift. Javier Sanchez will pick up a well-deserved podium as 1, 2, and 3 in iRacing finish 1, 2, and 3. Laust Olsen and Kevin Verbruchen 4th and 5th. Gary Ho would end up 6th ahead of Benjamin Shoko, with Marco Antonio Lopez in 8th place. Cam Porter, a great result, up 5 for him. He ends up 9th, with Alan Graham rounding out the top 10.
Yep, finishing in 11th, and coming out on top in that battle was Michael Gringiger with Jan Metzan, and then 13th I've got Robert Plumley, 14th I've got Matthew Nelson with Thomas Willerhausen, and 15th, 16th is Jason Merrifield, and then 17th you've got Juan Jose Suarez, and then 18th you've got David Tabaski, 19th Justin Callahan, and then rounded out the 20 was Oriol Serrat.
And then over the page once more for the final 6 drivers. These drivers are those who could not find a finish here today. Glenn Becker and Matt Linden. Linden would finish, but 7 laps down. Tobias Hanvey found himself caught up with Jeff Saunders and Bob Woodhouse here today. So those 2 drivers won't be happy, those 3. And of course, the one driver in the early stages, Andres Bruno, could not make it past 1 lap's worth of action here today. We do have a couple of drivers here ready to have conversations. Ryan Walker is stood by with a driver who came home in 9th position overall, and that is Cam Porter.
Yeah, and first off, Cam, that was a great result for yourself in inside the top 10, and there was plenty of action going on as well. And how was that for you from your point of view? Being that close to the action, were you just telling yourself just to keep a cool head and just do your thing?
Sorry, I wasn't sure if you were talking to me. I was late.
Sorry. Yeah. My question was to you.
Yeah. It was a pretty lonely race out there. After the first maybe third of the race, a couple of the faster guys that struggled near the beginning were behind me, but then they tangled, and then I was kind of in no man's land after that, and it was kind of lonely. My goal today was just stay clean and safe, and I know I was leaving some time on the table, but my goal was just to stay clean, keep the car pointed straight. I'm very happy with this result.
Yeah, I mean, a top 10 result, it must make you feel good. I mean, I've watched you a few times. I've watched your streams on YouTube and the Lotus 49, and you've always been round about probably top 15, close to the top 10. Do you feel that's where your pace is pretty much is, or do you feel you've maybe got 8? You could improve in some areas and maybe try and get it further inside the top 10?
I think maybe there was something. The Nürburgring 24 is happening today, so maybe a couple of the faster guys that are normally here aren't in the race today. My team is doing the Nürburgring 24 as well, so I'm going to be jumping in that car later on. But yeah, the numbers weren't as high as it was usually, and sometimes that happens during the end of the season where participation drops off, and I don't think this is a very popular track either, but regardless, their loss is my win.
And Yeah, looking ahead to, as we're pretty much close to closing out the season, how has the season went for you in general? How do you think, for you, how do you think it's went? Do you think it could have went better, or has it went better, or went as much as you expected?
I wish it could have went better for sure. I mean, I took myself out of a bunch of races, which is why I was trying to focus on just being safe in the second half of the season. Also got punted in a few races, so just wanted to avoid getting tangled up in any messes and just stay safe.
Good stuff. And before we let you go, Cam, anyone that you want to give a shout out to, thank you to, anyone in particular?
Yeah, shout out to Glenn Becker for sharing his set. I used his set today, and it worked great for me. Unfortunately, he had a technical problem, and he dropped out. So, bad luck for him, and good luck for me. Thanks, Glenn.
Well, lastly, thank you, Cam, for joining us, and again, congratulations on your top 10 result. And hopefully you get more of the same towards the end of the season.
Thanks, man. See ya.
As that was Cam Pointer joining us, and over to you, Jake.
Yeah, we've got a driver who finished second position overall, Jorge Nieva, up here with us in the commentary booth, or we did for a moment, but now we'll try and see again if this works. Jorge, that for you is a result which definitely brings together all of the best parts of your practice and preparation for the week. You needed a strong showing. You had a strong showing. The one thing you ran into, though, was someone as good on defense as Aldrius was today. Okay, do we have a copy of you, buddy? I think we are going to try again in just a little bit. We'll bring in Laust Olsen for the time being, who ended up finishing off in 4th position in today's race. Now, Laust, for you, 4th place, it was a very, very tough battle that you had from the first moment of the race to the end, just because of the fact you had that massive group with you of Xavier, of Kevin, of Gary, and when he was in the race, Glenn Becker too. How difficult was it, especially in the early stages, to keep those 4 there behind you over the course of this race?
Yeah, it was a tough one. I struggled getting into my rhythm at the beginning, and really felt all those guys breathing down my neck. And luckily for me, they started battling themselves. So at some time, I got a second or two breathing space, and allowed me to find to find my rhythm. But then Xavier, he found some speed and caught up together with some of the others again, and made it really tough. And then I had one really bad lap where I allowed him to get into striking distance, and during our battle I caught the chicane and 1.8 second slowdown and had to let him by, but he probably would have gotten me at that point anyway because I was quite slow out of the chicane. So, but it was a fun battle, and I'm really happy being able to keeping those guys behind for so long, and also surviving myself without any major mistakes.
Talk about this circuit then and the way that it drives, because it looks like a track that is very, very defined in terms of where the overtakes can be made. So for you, when you're at the front of that group, were you always looking at prioritizing those key exit corners out of 4, looking to get the run, then out of turn 9, looking to get the run out of the final corner? That was always going to give you the opportunity at the best chance of defense?
Yeah, I think the chicane before the back straight and the final corner were, for me, the most important ones. But I really struggled with the slow speed stuff in the last sector, so I think Glenn also had a look in there one time, so I knew that was a risky place also. But it's I find that sector quite hard to get right. So that was the main concern actually also.
So let's talk then to next week, because it's going to be quite different to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It'll be the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. What are you thinking about your chances there?
Unfortunately, I'm not at home next weekend, so I won't be able to participate. But it's quite a different challenge, I know. So I hope the other guys get a good race there.
Well, if you're not going to be there next week, are you going to be there the week after at Magny-Cours?
I plan to do that, yeah.
All good. Well, we'll hope to see you then at Magny-Cours. Last, before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, thank you to you guys for the great broadcast you do, and thanks to the Lotus community. Great bunch of guys, and finally to Glenn Baker. I think he posted a setup this week, and I used that, and it was really good. So thanks, Glenn.
Everybody seems to be on the Glenn Becker special. Laust Olsen there, finishing 4th overall. We'll try once more to get Jorge Nieva with us in here. Jorge, do you have a copy?
Do you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear. Jorge, that was an incredible race between you and Aldrius Valentias. You put everything you possibly could at him, but it looked like he had the answer for everything.
It's very hard to pass Aldrius because he always prioritizes the corner exit, and he's really fast on the straight. I can't do that. So I tried what I could, but it was impossible.
Well, you had a couple of opportunities with the lap traffic to try and find that pick, and it looked like you almost had it for about half a lap. So for you, was this today a case of looking at what's around you? No Togo here today, no Sebastian Tixe here today. Was this for you an important race to consolidate second in the championship?
Yeah, that's why I expected. I had a lot of speed this week. I raced with Aldrius last Thursday, and it was a pretty similar race. He did the pole. I couldn't pass him on the start, but I could follow him all the race and never pass him. And I asked him if he could not train anymore to Saturday's race, and he said he wouldn't. And well, it was fun.
Well, you had a lot of fun, and hopefully you will do the same next week at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. You're the only driver this season in competition against Aldrius to pick up a victory against him. Do you believe lightning will strike twice when you head to the Belgian Ardennes?
If he has any problems, I think it's possible. If he is still being a robot like all the season, he can't be beaten.
Well, the floor is yours, Jorge. It's still an incredible second-place finish here today at Indianapolis.
Thank you, guys.
Well, there you have it. Jorge Nieva joining us. Last but not least, we do have a driver who was fighting hard in the F2 Championship here today. He ended up the wrong side of Michael Griska. Jem Matzan is stood by with Ryan Walker.
Yeah, Jem, that was a fantastic battle between yourself and Michael for most of the race. And yeah, it looked like you two were pretty much going back and forth in your battle, and yeah, how was that for you? I looked, I don't know if tense was the word.
Well, it was pretty exciting, but ultimately Michael's a much better driver than I am, and he should be ahead of me. But that overtake that he did, I tried to do a switchback on him, but I didn't quite make it. But I almost had it, but that overtake that he did there on turn 1 is inspiring. I want to frame it and put it on my wall or something.
Yeah, I was about to say, did you have any plans, or did you think about defending down the home straight before he pulled that move off, or did you just have too much overspeed?
I would have been fine if I just made a few small mistakes here and there, and if I hadn't made those mistakes, I was much faster than him coming out of the chicane. And I knew that was always going to be a place where I could make up some time. And often on the last turn there, I could gain some time too. But he was gaining on me, especially in certain parts of Sector 1 and Sector 3. But overall, I could have been faster if I've only been doing this for, 8 months or so, and maybe half of that in the Lotus 49. And this is the first season where I really took the Lotus 49 seriously. And, Michael's been doing this for, 10, 13 years, something like that. So, I mean, it's going to be really difficult. He must not have practiced or something, because he's way better than what his I rating is. And I was really shocked that I was even within sight of him. And I knew, because I got ahead of him pretty early. I don't know, like lap 1 or 2, and I thought, oh boy, it's going to be a long race. But no, he did really, really well. He didn't run into me. I mean, he did, but it was a 0x. Nothing really happened.
And looking ahead to next week as well, we head to Belgium and head to the wonderful Spa track. Have you got much experience around there, or is it another track for you to learn?
I do have a lot of experience at Spa. Unfortunately, none of it's in the Lotus 49. And most of my experience in Spa in races is getting crashed into or making a big mistake and going way off the track. So I know the track really well, but it's like I knew Oulton Park really, really well. I did all kinds of, I spent like a whole season of time attacks in the Formula V, which is kind of like the runt little brother of the Lotus 49. And, I did some F3 time attacks there too. So I knew the track really well, but, in a downforce car and a slow car, it's a completely different track. You have to know the topography really well in the 49. And often in tracks like that in mid-Ohio, there's like one safe path that you can take, especially going over a hill. And if you deviate from that path at all, you're done. And, finding that path is the difficult part. And then keeping to it is even more difficult. And frequently, by the time I'm racing, I know what the path is for the most part, but I can't always hit it. So for next week, I don't know. Again, I don't have any experience in the 49 on this. I don't know what it's like. So we'll see.
And then lastly, before we let you go, Jem, anyone that you want to give a shout out or thank you to?
Sure. Mick Claridge, who spent like an hour in a coaching session with me, which probably, that was like a month ago, and I have yet to absorb all of it. But it definitely, the things that he taught me definitely improved my time by about 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds on this track. And my wife, who likes to watch the broadcasts when I'm on it.
Great to hear, and again, congratulations on your great result, Jim. And look forward to seeing you at Spa-Francorchamps next week.
Thanks.
Because that was Jem Matzan joining us, and I think that's about it for the interviews, Jake.
I would say so as well, which means the curtain will have to close here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I want to thank the entire team who has helped bring this show over to you today, from Ryan, from Steve, and from Dougie as well. I want to give a massive thanks to all of the equipment that has been used here today to get this show over to you, including the music that you have heard today from June Lalonde. If you haven't had the chance to already, you can head over to Bandcamp using the link provided here on your screen. There are a whole number of shows that are coming up on the horizon, so make sure that you watch what is coming through. Mark them down in your calendar if you haven't had the chance to, and tune in with us on the Global Sim Racing channel. You can follow us on our socials as well, be it on Twitter-X, be it on Facebook and Instagram. You can go to our website, globalsimracingchannel.com, and of course visit our merch store, gsrc.storenvy.com, to make sure you get an extra 2/10 in your pace by wearing some GSRC merch. But all aboard the Aldrius Express. He cannot be stopped right now, and the runaway train will head over to Belgium in 1 week's time. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, race clean, race hard, and we will see you at Spa.